Now this might make me sound crazy, but I believe the 2019 Mercedes-AMG GT53 four-door reminds me a lot of the Dodge Charger. Now, I'll take a second to pause and let you throw some less than kind invective into the comments below. Okay, now while this might be my most asinine take yet, and it probably is to be honest, I really do believe this comparison has legs. Like the Dodge Charger, the Mercedes-AMG GT four-door was built from the ground up with one thing in mind: performance. And also like the Charger, the GT four-door is incredibly good at what it does, but it doesn't really take a lot of digging to start shining sunlight on its flaws. Both cars also happen to cost $100,000. Okay, the last one was clearly a joke, but the rest still stands. The GT53 might be the base model, but heavens to Betsy, it sure doesn't feel like it. All AMG 53 models are powered by the same 3-liter turbocharged inline-6 mated to a 48-volt mild hybrid system. The engine alone puts out 429 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque, while the electric motor can throw another 21 ponies and 184 twist units into the mix. Now, it might lack the punch-a-grandma on the face sort of brutishness that the 63 models have, but the GT53's balance still tips towards the dynamism. The electric torque will turn low-speed antics into high-speed antics in a hot minute, pulling from some seemingly endless well of miles per hour. And the car's larger size, like the Dodge Charger, hint hint, makes the car feel like it's not going very fast, only for you to look down at your speedometer with abject horror. Now, I'm told the EPA rates this car at 19 mpg city and 24 highway, but honestly, I've been having too much fun to notice. You can ramp up or tamp down the GT53's brutality through a number of different modes and a configurable individual mode that lets you mix and match at will. Now, since I am a noise junkie, I have my tester's optional active exhaust constantly set to its loudest setting, dynamic, because it pops and crackles and snorts and does all sorts of great things. It sounds like a javelina I've been poking with a stick for a few hours. The adaptive dampers, on the other hand, well, they're best left in their most comfortable setting because they are still kind of stiff there, which kind of relegates it to the only mode that really works well with daily life and all the mediocre roads that invariably come with it. Now, the steering could be £1,000,000 or it could be negative £1,000,000, but I still think it's one of the best steering systems I've experienced in years, with responsiveness bordering on telepathy or ultra instinct or something like that. And then there's Mercedes' 9-speed automatic transmission, which is content to do its job with or without your help, and no matter what, does great. Now it's time to do my favorite thing: complain. The GT53 driving experience is not all roses and daisies. My tester's glossy carbon fiber trim picks up sunlight from, well, just about anywhere and correctly focuses it into the back of my eyeballs. The windshield does something similar with the sun, taking large dashboard reflections and throwing them right in front of my face. And then there's the noise, which is voluminous thanks in large part to the 6-lane highways of rubber that Mercedes calls summer tires. When it comes to the GT four-door's looks, I'm split. Even though it's better than it was before, I still don't like that swoopy coupe fastback garbage on a sedan, but the GT four-door gets around that by using the same kind of hatchback as the two-door version, and I really think that improves its looks. But it still kind of looks like a lump of melted ice cream, and the headlights manage some Benjamin Button voodoo that makes the front end look simultaneously older and younger than its two-door sibling. It's cooler than the CLS class though, that much is for sure, and the hatchback offers up some genuinely usable space. And then there is this paint. Mercedes calls it Brilliant Blue, which, fun fact, is the name of the paint on my 1994 Ford Escort. And I love it. It's striking in this matte finish, and it will turn every head that hasn't already been turned by the car itself. But it does come with a couple of trade-offs. First of all, it's $4,000. Second of all, kind of a bear to maintain. Mercedes advises you not to go through automatic car washes because the nylon flappy things will absolutely decimate the paint. You can't wax it because wax eliminates the point of a matte finish, and scratches are kind of hard to get out. I hope we brought a lot of microfiber cloths, and in perfect condition. The interior again borrows heavily from the two-door AMG GT with some neat new tricks. Again, like the Charger, you are surrounded by car. The beltline is high and the seats are low. Good stuff for sports cars, less so for visibility, although the shape of the hatch is really the main limiting factor there. The center console rises up, 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 and meets the same general interior shape we've seen in just about every modern Benz, and it's a lovely one. I'm especially a fan of the clever little capacitive screens flanking the infotainment controller and the other pair of screens that double as mode switches on the wheel. Sure, they're dumb little flourishes, but they will impress people. Now, these seats in this GT53 cost an extra $2,500 to slap in, and while that might seem like a lot of coin, I think they're worth it. They're pretty supportive and they're plenty attractive to boot. Now, when it comes to heating and cooling them, you have to pay an extra $450 for that luxury, which seems like nickel and diming on Mercedes' part, but I guess if you can afford the 99 grand base price, you can afford $450 extra. Now, there are only 4 seats in this thing, but each of them is like its own mini little palace with plenty of space and a USB Type-A port for every occupant. Okay, back to complaining. The GT53's center console is a big, bulky boy, which means the cup holders are very well recessed in here, making it kind of hard to pull out smaller drinks. And God forbid you need to actually wirelessly charge your device through the well-hidden tray behind the cup holders, because if there's stuff in those cup holders, well, the phone's about as well in-tuned as Fortunato's body. And then there's the shifter. Ugh, the shifter. It was in an awkward, stupid position in the two-door, and it's in an awkward, stupid position here. Mercedes, please take note of this. I am not a T-Rex. This is not how my arms work. While the AMG GT 4-door is one of Mercedes-Benz's newest vehicles, it still rocks the old command infotainment system. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sure, it has been reskinned over time to look more like MBUX, and it still does have a lot of great things about it. It's responsive, it has Apple CarPlay, navigation is standard. There's a lot of good stuff about it. But at the same time, it lacks cool things like MBUX's Hey Mercedes Digital Assistant or other random frippery like augmented reality directions. It's still a really good system, but I just wish it were a little newer. Now, as far as safety systems go, you get automatic braking and blind spot monitoring standard, but that's about it. Everything else you're after is probably hidden away in the $2,250 driver assistance package. That adds stuff like full-speed adaptive cruise with stop and go, active lane change assist, route-based speed adaptation, the whole 9 yards. As far as hands-on systems go, which this is definitely one of those, it's great. I love it. It's smooth, it's smart, and it doesn't feel overbearing. Now, while you might be inclined to believe that the AMG GT 4-door has more in common with, say, a Mercedes CLS than a Dodge Charger, well, you'd probably be right, but the Mercs are still 2 different worlds apart. Let's take the base model, for example. GT53, that's the base. CLS 53, that's actually at the top of the range. And then there's the size. Dimensionally speaking, the 2 cars are pretty similar, but the interiors, well, they're 2 completely separate beasts. And then there's the matter of general purpose. The CLS is more of a do-it-all kind of luxury car, whereas the GT lineup, well, it's just focused on ripping your face off in a black metal mosh pit. And then there's the matter of price. The GT lineup more or less begins right where the CLS leaves off, with a lofty starting price of $99,000. With an as-tested price of $127,300, it will remove your scratch like the finest car wax, but considering just how freaking fun this car is, buyers in its segment will find it worth every single penny. Just like the Dodge Charger.